People will definitely ask, like, why would I spend 10 ringgit 90 cents on this 300 ml
soda drink.
Teh Ais? They call
Okay.
it Teh Ais, some of them,
Wow.
because it's tea, right?
Right. This is so Malaysian. Teh Ais.
Yeah,
Kombucha is Teh
yeah,
Ais.
like Teh Ais.
You're listening to Foodie Canteen. I'm your host, Castle Lim. In this podcast, I sit down with Southeast Asia's leaders, entrepreneurs, and content creators in the F&B space. This is where you will learn about their trade secrets, or maybe you'll just find them as your next door neighbor. This show is supported by Good Foodie Media. For foodies who want to connect to the world through food, they curate the best spots to eat and drink in Malaysia, Bangkok, and Singapore. Check them out on Instagram for more. My guest today jumped off the corporate ladder to make some magic in the kitchen. Just like any potion, it took skill, knowledge, and patience to brew the perfect batch of fermented tea that would transform any gut into a healthier one. In her quest of creation, she drew inspiration from Malaysian flavors like ginger lemon, which uses local bentong ginger for a spicy, earthy note. In this episode, Jia Yi tells us what is kombucha, her personal experience with how it heals her skin condition, and why they are so expensive.
I actually wanted to be a surgeon because I always wanted to help people get better. And funny story, I threw that dream away because at the age of 16, I remember my lab partner hurt himself in the biology lab with a broken beaker, and lots of blood came out oozing out of his arm. And I literally just froze, stood there, didn't know what to do. So at that moment, I realized, you know what, I'm scared of blood. And obviously, I can't be in the medical field anymore. So then I went for the next career path that I was passionate in at that time, which is the legal industry. Because since young, I loved being the voice of other people.
Yeah.
Like, even at a very young age, if my classmates had any concerns or anything to voice out to the teachers, the first person they'll ask, hey, Jia Yi, can you like...
It's you. You're
tell,
the one
like,
who speaks for them.
Puan XXX that I want this, I want more time, this kind of thing. And I'm like, just leave it to Jia Yi, don't worry. I'm your most reliable spokesperson. So yeah, and that's how I started loving the legal career, and that's why I studied legal as a profession. Yeah.
Before this interview, we had a conversation and you told me that you were a corporate lawyer for 2 years. Like, how would you describe that life, especially compared to the life that you have right now, like running a kombucha business?
It's a very, very different experience, a very different life, I would say. I think the biggest difference is having confidence in what you do. Because when I was a corporate lawyer, of course, I was working for a lot of large companies, a lot of public listed companies. I was involved in several large mergers and acquisition deals, for example, like bank mergers and stuff like that. So being a professional, people instantly put their trust on you, especially if you are a lawyer. So people have the confidence in what you are doing. And when I decided to come out and start my own business, especially starting a kombucha brewery, which is something so foreign to people, like, what is this? So, I mean, instantly I had to pitch my ideas to like grocers or to like individuals to what kombucha is. And of course, no one really trusted on what I'm selling. You know, like what is this tea? What is this bacteria? Will it even sell to the market? You know, people do not have the market confidence. So instantly I had to build the confidence in myself and my brand to show everyone that this is a sellable item. This is the future of tea. This is something that the future generation would love, and it will sell on your shelves. So yeah, I went from a professional, a legal professional, to a sales lady, actually.
Selling
Yeah.
your own brand and
And
something that you believe in. And what were the reactions you received when you decided to leave the safe, conventional field of law for the unknown world of like home brewing and selling?
at the start, of course, like any other Asian parents, my parents, yeah, they weren't very happy with what I wanted to do. For them, it's like, why would you leave such a stable,
Paying job.
honorable career to actually like spend most of your time in the kitchen brewing tea? Like it wasn't like a very glamorous corporate career. I had to chuck away all my heels. I have to chuck away my
Wow.
blazers
Yeah.
and like just wear like sports shoes, brewing things. Moving all the stocks around, delivering it shop to shop. So yeah, and I was actually like occupying 2/3 of my home kitchen. And I needed to empty a room in my house to actually put multiples of jars of kombucha inside. And when you open that room, it just smelled so vinegary. Yeah, so I mean, but at the end of the day, my family and friends were all very happy for me. Fast forward 1 year, which is today, because they could see like I had a very steep learning curve. I learned the ins and outs of a small business, how to sell something, and I had the courage to walk out of the corporate career to start my passion project, which in the end translates into a business.
How did you first discover kombucha? Like what drew you to kombucha personally when you first saw it?
I first discovered kombucha actually back in 2016 or 2017 when I was living in London.
Yeah.
I believe at that time in Malaysia, it wasn't a very big thing yet, or let alone it is still a mystery to people, something unknown to people. So yeah, I was strolling through the food aisles of a health food store in London, and I came about these items. On the label, it says fermented tea, and instantly I was intrigued. What is this fermented tea? So I just picked it up, brought it back home. And to be very honest, my first encounter of it wasn't very pleasant. I remember like I opened it and there was a pop and like it almost popped to my face. And it smelled so vinegary, sourish, and I really hesitated to try it. Like, what is this? Has it even gone bad? Is it even real? But yeah, but I'm glad that I actually took that first sip, because after that first sip, I instantly fell in love with it. And ever since then, I've been consuming it on a daily basis. I'm still experimenting with it. So yeah, I'm glad that I found it on the aisles.
And how has that changed your life, like consuming kombucha as part of your daily routine?
So basically, one of the reasons why I started this is also I felt the health benefits from it. After consuming it on a daily basis, I started noticing improvement in my digestion and also my skin condition. Like I used to struggle with this skin condition called psoriasis. For those who do not know what psoriasis is, it is actually a skin condition that gives me like very flaky red patches on my skin, which is very itchy. So I've been struggling with this since young. And after I started consuming kombucha, I realized I healed almost 90%.
Wow.
Like the patches on my elbow were all gone, and the patches on my neck, there is still a very small patch there, but it has gone significantly, it has healed very significantly. So yeah.
Kombucha, from what I read, it has a rich history dating back to like the Qing dynasty. With the Chinese, they call it like the magical potion of life. Can you share with us what exactly is kombucha? Like you said, it's fermented tea, and like what else?
Kombucha is a fermented tea that is made out of sugar, tea, and everything nice. Everything nice, like the byproducts from the fermentation, which is the bacteria, the yeast, and also you receive like antioxidants, things like that. So the taste profile of it, it's very sweet and sour, and also it's fizzy. So the fizziness comes from the natural fermentation of the tea. Yeah, so everything is very magical per se. And I always tell people, how does kombucha come about? Because everyone is intrigued how it came about. And I always call kombucha some sort of an agriculture. Like you take the sugar, you take the tea, you plant it, and then you brew it, as in you brew it, and then it's like planting it. And then you take the seed, which is the SCOBY, the symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast, to ferment the sugared tea, which in turn give you the produce, which is all the good bacteria that's in the tea.
You've been in this, like you said, Jboocha for like a year now. Why do you think kombucha is getting more popular, at least in Malaysia? I know that it has been a thing in like North America for a while now. Why is it getting trendy like now?
I think it's getting trendier now in recent years because people are starting to get more health conscious. People are trying to find more better for you drinks. So I will always call Jboocha as a guilt-free soda because it has that fizziness to it. It is slightly sweet, but it's not as sweet as it's not sweet like conventional soda. So it's a very good alternative to soda. And people are very health conscious now because I think if you look at the statistics today, Castle, like 1 out of 5 Malaysians have diabetes, and almost half of Malaysians are overweight. So when people look at these statistics, they just instantly know that I need to go for a healthier lifestyle. I need to ditch the conventional soda and look for something else. And that something else do not need to be something yucky or disgusting. It can be something healthy like kombucha, which has natural flavorings to it. And at the same time, you get the benefits of everything. Yeah.
It's funny you say that, like yucky, because my first encounter with kombucha was actually in the States. I'm like, ooh, what is that? Like, it's so sour and like vinegary. And then I tried it again and my perception changed. Like, I even tried Jboocha once, I think 2 months ago. And I really like the ginger lemon because I think like it's so fizzy and the taste, like I can taste the ginger, the lemon, and even like for the pandan lemongrass, like I can taste the pandan, and it just makes this whole experience like it's not like, oh, this is something healthy and like quote unquote disgusting, but it's like, oh, actually it's quite a pleasant drink and it's like a healthier option. And so, like, in your opinion, do you think kombucha is more of a healthy luxury? Because I hear some of my friends like, that's too expensive for me. Like, is it a healthy luxury or like a health necessity, or like it's something in between?
I would say currently right now, kombucha is labeled as a healthy luxury because, yes, I do agree the price is on the higher side. Because I think the reason for this is because there's not one company in Malaysia currently that can produce at a very large scale to scale down the price of kombucha. So, it is still considered a luxury because we do not want to cut down the cost as well, because we want to use premium products for our kombucha. For example, for Jboocha, we have 4 flavors. We have the original, the ginger lemon, honey lavender, and pandan lemongrass. And like for our ginger lemon, we try to use locally sourced high quality bentong ginger, which is 5 times the price of normal ginger. And also for the honey, we use locally sourced tualang honey as well, which it's less sweet, and also it is more on the premium side in the honey world as well. So, and also the tea, we try to source for very good tea. So that's why the price is on the higher side. But at the same time, we hear our consumers, they are telling us that the price is on the higher side. We want a cheaper kombucha. We want it more accessible. So currently, right now, we are trying to ramp up our production, and hopefully we can lower the cost, which will be an in-between of luxury and necessity. Having to say kombucha as a necessity, I think that will take a very long time to reach this stage, the word necessity. Yeah.
Is this like one of the biggest challenge you face starting Jboocha, or?
Yes, I think this is one of the biggest challenge that I face. Having people to actually buy Jboocha at a high price.
Yeah.
You know, people will definitely ask, like, why would I spend 10 ringgit 90 cents on this 300 ml
soda drink?
Teh Ais. They
Okay.
call it Teh Ais,
Wow.
some of them, because it's tea, right?
Right. This is so Malaysian. Teh Ais.
Yeah.
Kombucha is Teh Ais.
Yeah, like Teh Ais. Why do I need to spend this amount? And are you sure it's all natural? You know, the amount of probiotics inside, are you sure it's, you know, this amount of count, this kind of thing? So naturally, it was very hard to convince people on this side.
And how did you deal with that? Like, you just, I mean, other than bombarding them, no, you don't do that, right? Like, how do you overcome this challenge?
I always say the product speaks for itself. So a lot of my consumers, after they tried it, they just feel like a certain oomph. They really feel the effects of it. You know, they feel like they have better digestion, they have better energy throughout the day, and also they actually can taste. You know how you can taste between something artificial and natural?
Yep.
So yeah, definitely they can taste it's natural. They can actually taste the sediments of the grating of the ginger, you know, and like sometimes there's like some lemongrass inside. So they can taste that it is all natural product. And the best way to market your product is also people's mouth to mouth. So people will naturally tell their friends, hey, you know what? I think you should try Jboocha. Give it a try. Try this new genre of tea called kombucha. So naturally, they are also educating people on what kombucha is. I think one of my biggest challenge is actually educating people on what kombucha is. Yeah, trying to tell them what is this genre of drink.
That was Jia Yi. You're listening to Foodie Canteen. When we come back, she gets real about the lessons she learned in her first year of entrepreneurship and bridging the gap between kombucha's position as a luxury health product and an everyday necessity. This show is supported by Good Foodie Media. For foodies who want to connect to the world through food, that's where you go. Find Penang Foodie, KL Foodie, Halal Foodie, Singapore Foodie, Johor Foodie, Bangkok Foodie on Instagram. They curate the best spots to eat and drink in these cities. It is quite refreshing to speak to you today because I think on the podcast we have people of various like experience. Some people have like decades of experience in the tea industry. Some have like 5 years of experience in fine dining. And for you, you are like a fresh, like 1 year in. I'm passionate about this. Like, what is one of the biggest lessons you have learned so far in this journey?
In this journey, I mean, I come from what you hear just now, I actually come from a corporate legal background. So when I tell people, when people ask me, so are you a food technologist? I'm like, no, I'm actually a lawyer. Yeah, so people will be shocked on like, what is this? So yeah, it was a very steep learning curve for me. To learn everything, not from zero, I would say, is actually negative.
Wow.
Yeah. all negative because although I have the passion of trying out new food and also have the passion to, come up with new flavors and things like that. But when you go commercial, it is a whole different avenue when it comes to that.
Whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame. So I had to be my own food technologist. I have to be the procurement officer. I have to be basically what Chinese people say, bao ka liao.
Just wearing many hats and doing everything as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm just wearing many hats. Yeah. So, yeah, it is very difficult coming out as an entrepreneur. Like, I would tell everyone that being a businesswoman, being an entrepreneur is not for everyone, because you have to go down low to actually convince people on what you are selling. You have to do everything on your own as a start before you become more established. And is that the risk that you are willing to take? Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about the process. Like, what is the process of making kombucha? Like how long it takes from preparation to a finished product?
It takes around 2 to 3 weeks to ferment the tea. So it depends. We actually gauge this by looking at the pH level of the tea. Mm-hmm. Once it reaches a certain kind of pH level and sugar level, and that's when we know we can harvest it and bottle it. So, from the quantitative side of things, this is what we do. But on the qualitative side of things, I am the taste master. So I will taste every batch of kombucha every morning to see whether it is of the best balance so that my consumers get the best out of the kombucha as well. Yeah.
And for those watching on YouTube, Jia Yi, you have brought a jar with you that you want to show to our viewers. If you're on Spotify, you can head on to YouTube to watch a kombucha in the making. So she's pulling up the jar right now.
Yeah, so this is a small jar. Uh-huh. It's around 5 liters or so. Mm-hmm. So basically, we have like large jars of this in like shelves right now. Yeah. So basically, step number 1 is that we actually boil the tea with sugar. Yes. And after this sweetened tea cools down, we transfer it into a glass jar. And then we add on some starter tea. And we will put in our seed, our secret ingredient, which is called the SCOBY, which is for short for symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. So this is the SCOBY.
And you're lifting.
Can you see it, Castle?
It's so huge. Wait, yeah, so it looks like a squid, like a dry squid. Is that a correct way of putting it?
I always describe it as like a oversized pancake in a gelatin form.
Yes.
Yeah. So it follows the shape of the jar. Mm-hmm. So we put it in. It will ferment for 2 to 3 weeks until it reaches a certain pH level, like I said earlier. Mm-hmm. It will produce all the good bacteria, enzymes, things like that. So it eats up the sugar and the caffeine from the tea to produce all of these ingredients. And voila, it actually like multiplies. It will produce
more SCOBY.
Another SCOBY actually at the end of the fermentation. Yeah. And yeah, that's how you get the sourness from it, because it's all from the fermentation. Even the carbonation is all from the fermentation as well.
So the SCOBY just keeps on multiplying, and you just keep on putting in new jars to make more tea, which in the end you take it to mix it with flavors like ginger and like lemongrass to become the final product at Jboocha.
Yes, correct. So that's what we do.
And my final question for this interview today, what is your goal with Jboocha? Like, where do you see it going, let's say in the next 6 months, a year, 3 years?
Like I said earlier, Castle, I I always wanted Jboocha to be more accessible in the Malaysian market. So I hear all my consumers telling me that please make Jboocha everywhere, like please put it in more stores and things like that. So this is one. So we are trying to get into more convenience stores because I think the best way possible to make it accessible is by putting it in convenience stores, and that's why it's called convenience stores, right? Yeah. So we are trying to. Currently, right now, we are in places like E-Mart 24. Upcoming, we're going to be in Mix, Kombucha, and we are also talking to a few other convenience stores and grocers to make it more accessible to the public. And also, I want to meet like the in-between of healthy luxury and the necessity by lowering the cost. And to do that, we are actually renovating a new factory to ramp up the production so that we can lower the cost and so that the mass population can actually try it. And if we would like to fast forward further into the future on my plans for Jboocha is that, of course, I want to make Jboocha international. I would say worldwide, kombucha is starting to become a thing. And I always wanted to showcase Malaysian flavors. And what better way to showcase Malaysian flavors through kombucha? So if you can see right now, three of my favorite ones, which is the ginger lemon, the honey lavender, and the pandan lemongrass, I try to incorporate some Malaysian into it. Like, for example, our ginger lemon, we are using bentong ginger, which is our local produce. And from this, international people can actually try how good bentong ginger is. Like, the spiciness of it, the earthy note to it. And for the honey lavender, we are actually using our locally sourced tualang honey from our rainforest. And international people can also try, wow, this tualang honey, it has a very mild bitterness to it and not as sweet as other conventional honey. And our pandan lemongrass, I think pandan lemongrass itself screams Malaysian, it screams very Malaysian. When people open it, they can smell the aroma of pandan and also this very citrusy and refreshing lemongrass that comes with it. So that is my long-term goal, showing and showcasing Malaysian flavors in a bottle internationally and worldwide.
Jia Yi, really thank you so much for coming on the show today to share your story. I think so bold of you to jump off the corporate ladder and just come and start your own business. And this is something that you believe in and it changed your life, even your, like you said, your skin condition. And we wish you the best of luck. Thank you again for your time. And that's all for today.
Thanks, Castle.
You have just listened to Jia Yi's story on Foodie Canteen. This show is produced by me, your host, Castle Lim, and written by Sulin Chang. Foodie Canteen podcast is made possible by the excellent team at Good Foodie Media. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Foodie Canteen for more. Follow us for brand new episodes every Friday. Thank you for listening.